Welcome, everyone. Welcome, Jordan and
Nicole.
And we are back with another episode of the Playbook Diaries. So sorry for the wait. We had to take a week off. We had some personal travel, work travel.
We busy.
Yeah, just a little bit. I don't want to say it like that, but okay.
It's the truth. It's the truth. But, welcome to the Playbook Diaries podcast where every freaking story has a play, including our own. How's your week going?
Awful. Honestly. I'm just so busy and I'm super sleepy.
Okay.
And I don't work well off of without 8 hours of sleep. I just got over strep throat. So that took me out. I missed a week of work, but I still had to make my deadline. So whatever. It is what it is. I'm better now. How have you been?
I have been okay. I've been busy. I have yet to do my taxes, but that will come soon.
Don't feel behind. I haven't done mine either. If you're watching this, it's too late.
It's too late.
If you're watching this,
or listen, you're late. Wait, you're late. I'm gonna be on time though. I'm gonna do what I need to do.
I'll do mine today before
I'm gonna do what I need to do. But yeah, I have yet to do my taxes. But nonetheless, my week is great. It's flourishing. Business is booming. I'm on set and Playbook Diaries podcast, the best sports podcast in the galaxy. Let's get to it. So what did you think about March Madness 2024?
Y'all know that my most of my interest is in collegiate football. That is like what I love watching.
That's your thing.
But I actually took time out and I was very unusually invested in basketball. I don't normally watch March Madness.
Okay.
It's just
where
like
I do for sure.
Yeah.
I think I got into March Madness my sophomore year of high school. I believe that's when A&M, I don't remember who even won, but I remember I was following A&M women's basketball and they were killing it at the time. So I don't know, for some reason I just really like A&M.
This year it was just a lot of personalities in the game. This year you had Paige Buckers, who I like. That is like that is my number one right now. Because
she's cool.
I follow her and some of the UConn players on TikTok. And they are so fun. They're so fun. That UConn team is full of personality and they're very likable personalities.
Yeah.
Just like they act their age. Like
Fair.
Kids having fun. We're in college. Like I can't imagine what would be on the internet if we had TikTok in college.
Right, because I remember when we were in college, we were on Twitter and people was acting the fool.
Twitter and Snapchat, people were acting the fool. Snapchat was in shambles, I remember.
So March Madness, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I don't know. I think I enjoyed last year a little bit more, maybe because I was able to go in person.
Are you talking about like March Madness as a whole for the NCAA or like men's, women's, like
I'm saying as a whole.
As a whole?
As a whole.
So what was lacking besides you going to the game?
That's the only thing. I was able to get that in-person experience, and that was my first experience, and that was ridiculous. But this year was epic. It was amazing. Records were broken.
Before we get into the records, who you thought was going to win?
Yeah, but that's not who I wanted to win.
Who did you want to win?
I wanted Iowa to win.
The Caitlyn Clark redemption story.
I wanted Iowa to win. I felt like South Carolina versus Iowa, either one would have been a beautiful story. Undefeated. Team goes undefeated, or she comes back and
was Iowa undefeated as well?
No, that's like two teams.
You said two teams undefeated. South Carolina was only undefeated.
South Carolina, I'm sorry. One team will be undefeated while another team will be able to get the redemption, and she gets to basically have one of the best college basketball years of all time, if she already hasn't.
Now, normally I go for the underdog, and that's typically who I root for amongst any sport that I watch. This was probably the first time that I can think of where I was not going for the underdog. I did not want Iowa to win, like the Iowa girls, as far as like what I can see on the internet, but I wanted the villains to win.
Who were the villains?
We know the media painted out to be the villains. The villains were LSU. They were going crazy on social media. They just had that little bit of that attitude about them. And so many people were rooting against them. No, they hated them.
They hated
so many people hated LSU, the players, the coaches, the program as a whole, and it made me love them even more. So maybe they were somewhat still an underdog in terms of who people wanted to win.
Let's dip into that though. Okay. Why did people hate them? Why do you think people hated them? You heard it first from Caitlyn Dyer's podcast. Why do you think people hate them?
So I think that people don't really understand how the media works. When you are marketing, we spoke about it earlier, most companies, their biggest bill is marketing. NCAA was very strategic, in my opinion, on the marketing of these two teams. And just people don't understand, influencers go beyond social media. There are influencers and people that are involved with painting a certain narrative of certain brands, teams, and images woven throughout, the industry in positions of power. So it's not just, oh, this is the product that I have. And so there were people involved in painting LSU as, the villains that were involved in media. I mean, if you just think about how announcers, newscasters spoke about the LSU team versus how they spoke about the Iowa team, it was just clear as day, especially if you're involved in the media space. You saw like, oh, this is who they are painting as. You need an antagonist and you need a protagonist for a good story.
It worked.
Somebody got to be the villain for a good story. No one wants to see two good guys because a good guy's gonna have to lose.
So I definitely think that people hated LSU. A lot of people disliked LSU because they came off very distasteful.
They did come off arrogant, and so if I'm being completely unbiased, there were times that I can pinpoint where it's like it's come off a little arrogant, like
chillax. But I think depending on how you were raised, I think that will show basically what you think of what I would call confidence, honestly. In sports, specifically for women, that's why I'm always for women playing sports, because it teaches a certain type of confidence. And I think that they were talking their shit. And depending on how you were raised, like I was raised in an environment where you talk your shit. No one sees it as anything other than I'm just talking my shit.
That brings up a whole nother topic of like the men can talk shit all they want to. And it's like, he's so invested. He's proud. He loves the sport. Like, yeah. And then the women did it, and it was like
no glass,
monkey, like, no glass. Oh my gosh,
they called them dark skinned. What are the debutantes? No, they said dirty debutantes.
That is such a crazy title. Who was that?
It was like some type of big.
It was a big. I need my phone.
It was a big. I think it was Washington Post. Was it?
Yeah, it was Washington Post.
Or was it? Yeah, it was. I don't want to be wrong.
It was completely irresponsible as a media conglomerate. It was a large company.
So what? Dirty debutante is basically so they black? Is that what that means?
Calling them dirty debutantes definitely has. I mean, whether you want to admit it definitely has some racial undertones.
Because they like, why are they dirty?
They would never describe.
Why are they dirty?
They would never describe a predominantly white team as the dirty anything.
Yeah, and also I will say another reason why people did.
It was the LA Times.
It was LA Times.
Our producers just told us it was the LA Times.
It was LA
Sorry,
Times.
Washington didn't mean to throw you out there. My bad.
My apologies. I don't want no smoke.
We're journalists. I
don't want no smoke. I recant. But another reason why I think people did not like LSU women's basketball was because sports really is a microcosm of our society.
Yes.
And people really don't like super confident women.
No, they don't.
Especially women of color. Don't be a pretty, talented, and confident woman of color. I think that for some reason grinds people's gears and they want to say like, humble yourself.
It was a lot of trying to humble people.
Have you ever been humbled before? Or have you ever had someone ever attempted to humble you? You're pretty confident.
I'm pretty confident, and yeah, I would be lying if I said that there weren't times where I could explicitly tell someone was trying to knock me down a couple levels.
Yeah.
Like specifically, I would say like when dating. That's the.
When you just say I would agree.
Yeah.
So you think you're smart?
Yeah. And not to toot my own horn, but I've got 3. So
You're so annoying. You're so annoying. You know what's so funny? When I back when I used to date, back in the day, when I first got my law degree, I used to just tell people I'm in legal operations.
There's no way that I would go.
I don't know why I was water myself down like that.
Because it's a microcosm of the
it is.
society.
So I was like, I'm in operations. You were a lawyer.
I mean, off topic from sports, but it as a confident woman, it does take a very, very specific man to deal with I don't want to say deal with like it's like negative,
right? I don't like that.
To be with a confident woman, because to be with a confident woman, you have to be a very secure, confident man, because it's like, we got the degrees, we got the money, so we don't.
I just think that you have to.
We don't gotta ask.
I think you have to reroute your definition of what partnership means to you. That's all I think.
True, but
because back in the day, it was very specific on what you did and what he did, and I think
it's a very different world.
Just change your perspective on what partnership means, you'll be okay. But
getting back to the topic, what was the topic?
The topic was confidence.
It just seemed frowned upon in certain aspects, but then I'm not going to completely say that people shut it down, because you saw the commercials that all the women athletes were in, that were airing at the time, and they were all about confidence. Think about. Did you see the Caitlyn Clark Gatorade one?
Yeah, I saw so many.
And it was so
Caitlyn Clark.
Yeah,
she's getting bread.
And Paige Buckers was getting bread. She was like, goodness gracious. But I do want to come back to the topic of humbling, while you quickly review what the viewership numbers were.
Oh my gosh, guys. So with this year's 2024 March Madness, the USC, University of South Carolina, versus the Iowa game got an all-time record of 18.9 million views. That's more than any college basketball game. I believe that is
in the past 5 years.
Ever. Yeah, and I believe that's more than any basketball game in the last couple
that
years.
That number was the highest viewership for any basketball game, male or female, professional or collegiate.
Yeah, and that's crazy. And they actually, so they counted at 18.9 million views, but it actually peaked at 24.1 million views once South Carolina claimed their title. That was actually the peak.
Okay.
And then the men's side, UConn versus Purdue, got to 14.8 million views, which is solid. It's solid.
It's solid. I will admit that I did not watch the men's game. We were on the
phone,
and we were like, "Is the game tonight? Is the game?" We didn't even know.
I don't remember that.
I didn't see any marketing for.
I don't want.
I didn't see. Remember any marketing for the men's. Everybody
they didn't market it.
Time marketing efforts into the women's game, and it paid off. And so that's gonna route us into the next conversation.
Wait, I got a little bit even more stats. Okay. So it's so funny because a lot of times when it comes to the viewership, they say like, oh, it's because of Caitlyn Clark. I definitely think that she is the MVP in routing us to more viewerships with women's college basketball. But even in the Final Four, both games averaged 13.8 million views. So even when Caitlyn Clark was not playing, they still killed it in views. And year over year, women's college basketball has increased by 121%. So we've seen 121% growth year over year. And it's so funny, the amazing, treacherous story of how a lot of this viewership got started. Y'all, it got started in 2021 when y'all gave us only a couple of dumbbells.
What is funny? It's not funny, but it's funny. You got to laugh to not cry.
It's crazy.
Because it was actually ridiculously embarrassing that the NCAA even did that.
And it's actually kind of annoying because people say like, well, it's because like men's college basketball brings in more money.
But the money is where you invest.
Things
where you'll see a bigger investment.
Like where you sow your seeds and you water it, usually, life has taught us that something will bloom. And so we saw that with women's college basketball. And I really, really hope the WNBA follows suit, because what the hell?
Yeah. I do also want to say something about the Caitlyn Clark. You mentioned that a lot of the viewership and the numbers and rankings went up because of Caitlyn Clark. I think it is so irresponsible for us to say that all of this is because of Caitlyn Clark solely.
For sure.
And this is a very controversial stance I have.
Let's hear.
There is no Caitlyn Clark without Angel Reese. And I stand by that. Because Caitlyn Clark was the golden child, epitome of good girl, good grades, nice with the media, well-spoken, very articulate and very, I don't want to say strategic, but she was the golden child.
Okay.
Caitlyn Clark does not get as much notoriety if there is not equally as much notoriety for Angel Reese, who was the villain. Caitlyn Clark can only be the good guy if there's a villain. If there's not a villain, there is no good guy. So if there's no Angel Reese or someone that was painted as a villain, there is no Caitlyn Clark coming in here and we're rooting for her.
I think that's a good point.
You have to have both, or the NCAA women's it's not as successful as it was. You needed the Cinderella story, both. And you needed both of them. They needed each other. And I think that if you look at the deals that both of them got, a large reason why they both got the deals they got was because of the other person. Brands being in a brand room and selecting who you're gonna pick as your ambassador. It's like they had to bring up the other player as to why they wanted to support. I mean, Caitlyn Clark was getting her deals, and brands were like, we want the bad girl.
Yeah,
we want our brand aligns with her better. You needed both for the NCAA women's tournament to be as successful as it was, and I stand by.
I think you make a good point. I definitely think you make a good point. I don't think that you're wrong. I think that I don't think that you're wrong. They're both so strong. It's a strong point. I feel like they would have gotten it with either way because LSU won last year and Caitlyn Clark is Caitlyn Clark.
But why was that game? I mean, there were some crazy stats from last year's viewership too. It was because
Caitlyn Clark still lining it up regardless.
No, she was lighting it up, but it was like, oh my gosh, we want to see Angel Reese go down. We hate her so much. We're gonna watch.
And they're like, Caitlyn Clark would be the You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I guess with that, a lot of people complained about they felt like Caitlyn Clark was over broadcasted in comparison to South Carolina being completely undefeated.
So I'm gonna let you answer that first. Do you agree with that sentiment?
Was she overly broadcasted?
No. Was Caitlyn Clark overly broadcasted in comparison to South Carolina's players?
Overly broadcasted gives that was it. That means she was broadcasted too much. I don't think so. I think that she deserved the broadcasting.
Yeah, I mean her numbers.
If you look at the laundry list of things that she broke, the records that she broke, I don't think that she was overly broadcasted. A lot of the times when I see Laker highlights, I see them because of LeBron James. I don't see them because they had a really good 5 in, 5 out playing. Really good 3-man weave.
Really good point. It proves people latch onto a player.
Yeah, they latch onto a player. That's why when we had our previous conversation about will it transcend to the WNBA, I said yeah.
I don't agree with that. I don't. Yeah. We spoke on it on another podcast, and we can revisit lightly before we have to move on. But just the WNBA, like we said, you have to,
they don't put enough marketing dollars.
Money into marketing to see that the NCAA put the money behind the women's sport, and it had a great return on investment. But as of what I've seen now, the WNBA has not done that yet. Are they probably in the works right now doing it, coming up with some massive strategy? They would be dumb to not.
I mean, they are. The Indiana Fever has changed where they're playing in a couple of locations. They changed the stadium already. And specifically when they're going against the Aces, I believe that they're in the works of changing the stadium.
Yeah, okay. So
making room for more.
I don't see it transcending into the WNBA, and definitely not by the numbers that people think it's going to be. Like, if there's a increase in viewership for WNBA, I don't think it'll be by a huge significant amount. I do think that the first couple games that Caitlyn Clark plays for
sure.
team she's on,
a big deal.
that will be a big
The
game.
WNBA draft is actually this weekend. This is actually this weekend.
And I've heard nothing. So, do you see WNBA? The money's not in there.
I've heard some stuff. I also am already a targeted audience, but you're somewhat. I can definitely see that. I think that it will transcend, and but I also think that we're putting a lot of pressure into it.
This is a business. It's a lot of. I don't care.
It's so funny. So it kind of annoys me.
Fight or flight.
I get it, but it kind of annoys me how much they talk about how much you gonna get paid. How much you gonna get paid. Stop pocket watching. But I guess everyone gets pocket watch.
No, that's truly I think that's a
She should take the deal.
That's
the 303.
Because Angel Reese and Caitlyn Clark had what? Had another year of eligibility? Right?
Yes.
So they both had a year of eligibility. I think that they should have both stayed.
Mm-hmm. Their endorsements, they're good.
Their endorsements were for them being in college.
Their endorsements were them specifically, their name, image, and likeness.
Okay.
So it was for Jordan May specifically, not Jordan May so long as she's at LSU.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean?
The brands are paying you this much because the viewership is already there for the NCAA has done the work to get these games at a notariable. Is that a word?
I don't know if notariable is a word, but I understand where it's coming from.
I'm going to use it at a notariable level. At a notariable level.
I understand where you're coming from. It's okay.
Okay. I do think that played a part in it. And it's like,
I think it's notoriety.
You're not going to, the WNBA is not going to be like, oh, they did really good in college. We're going to pay them some more. There's still a budget that only changes like every 5 years.
There's definitely still a budget. I think that we're forgetting about their extraneous other sponsorships and deals that a lot of WNBA players rely on and get when it comes to their full package compensation. But I definitely understand they're comparing the WNBA compensation to the NBA compensation, which should not be, compared.
They're literally not comparable.
It shouldn't even be compared. It shouldn't even be compared. But nonetheless, I don't really like all that.
Okay, while we're on the WNBA topic, last thing.
Yeah.
I think the WNBA players, the W, which I guess that's a new, I didn't know they called it
That's kind of cute.
It is cute.
It's cute.
Whatever, the W.
The W.
Why are the W players they're not embracing the new addition, the incoming class of 2024, the way that I thought that they were going to be?
You want them to do women?
We're so like,
kumbaya?
Go women, pro woman. I'm going to help my fellow sisters.
We're at
I don't care. Every interview that I see with a WNBA player, it's literally, they not getting away with that. When they come on, we not nothing but deep. I'm like, bitch, oh my gosh.
So if I was in the WNBA, I would not fangirl over anybody.
We're not asking them to fangirl over them, but it's a difference between saying, like, someone's like, are you excited? I mean, these questions are so lighthearted and they're supposed to be positive. And
bro, I'm at practice. I don't know. I'm not excited about her. I'm worried about my game.
They're on a podcast just like us.
It's true.
It's
true. And now it's in the game. It's true.
And they're like, they're not going to get away with that. They're not going to.
But it's true. They won't get away with a lot of things,
They
though.
won't get away with
it's
a lot
true,
of things,
though.
But that's not what that question was for. It was, are you excited about the attention that these girls have garnered for the sport that you say that you love? And are you excited that it's bringing more attention to the sport in general at every level? And it just, to me, it was met with just hateration.
The only reason why I can't judge them in regard to how their responses were, what I don't specifically remember. I remember Diana Taurasi said a couple of things.
She said something it was not received.
I remember she said a couple of things.
I mean, it's a lot of players. I mean, a lot of people have been talking about it. It's like, dang, no, I haven't seen a positive response.
But isn't it not true? Some of the things you'll get away with in college, you're not going to get away with in the professionals.
I mean, it's true.
That's true.
But it's also like, duh. It's one of those like, duh.
So
it's like, it's so obvious. It's a different level of play. It's the same thing with men's sports too. It's like, yeah, okay, freaking.
But all they say, yeah, his game is nice. They don't say nothing else. They don't be like, I'm so excited for him to come to the league.
But the NFL players also don't be like, he not getting away with that. And they'll be like, yeah, we're excited to have him. Like, he's a beast. Like, it just be more support. And it didn't seem supportive.
So I think
when they had the opportunity to give, like, to show support of like, oh yeah, I don't know.
I think it's a different ball game, and I think that it can't even be compared to the NFL or the NBA because first off the WNBA, the W has like what 50% less teams in the NBA and the NFL, and so I think like the pot to share is smaller. So I just like I think like even if I give
so basically you're saying they have a crabs in a barrel mindset. It's like the pot to share.
I think it's possible.
And so that's hate. That's hate.
I don't think it's hating because we're competing. So that's what I'm looking at it from a competitor standpoint. I wouldn't be like, I'm so happy for what she's doing for the sport. I'll be like, I don't think it would go in the league. It would
be something along the line of, yeah, they balling now. I mean, the numbers they're beating the men's numbers. I mean, this is great for the sport.
They they own was it Sue Bird and some other female athletes? They own together the Instagram page, and they publicize it. So they do it from a separate standpoint.
Okay, from a separate standpoint. The interviews that I have seen have not been supportive.
I don't know if I would somewhat call it fangirling. I'm not
being for the record. Let's just set this straight. Giving someone their kudos and their flowers, like y'all like to mention, giving people their flowers is not fangirling. Fangirling is in your face, bothering you repeatedly, just like
just we're supposed.
Just saying, like, look, her. She's balling, like she's doing good. It's gonna be good for her sport. I'm excited to play her and really show her what the dub is about. Even something like that would have been that would have been more supportive. But anyways, enough about that. What's the next topic?
Next topic. So I don't know if you guys heard, but the NAIA, for those who don't know what the NAIA is, it is a specific division within collegiate sports. There's D1, D2, D3, and then NAIA, and then of course there's like JUCO. But the NAIA has officially banned transgender athletes from competing in women's sports. That is news. As of right now, I believe there are 23 states already who ban transgender athletes from competing in women's sports. But the NAIA just specifically put that into place,
which is a big precedence. NAIA accounts for how many different schools? 73.
I have no clue.
Okay,
I probably should have known why I'm over here saying the news.
Don't quote me on that. I think it's 70 something.
Yeah,
I saw them shade. Right,
I'm so scared to just say yes, but then while someone is looking up, no,
that's stupid. Okay, so what are your thoughts on that? Are you pro transgender athletes participating in women's sports? I'll start off. Sure. So, sure. This is a controversial topic, and I have no clue why.
I don't know why it's a controversial topic either.
Controversial. It's just like, yeah, because I mean, there was a reason why men's and women's sports were separated in the first place. It was because men have an unfair advantage. And I would also like to point out that because I know somebody's going to ask, like, oh, like, all science, like all transgender, we're not saying what they started off as and what they transitioned to.
Ain't nobody scared about a girl transitioning to a guy competing.
No one.
Ain't nobody scared if I turn to a guy.
A woman transitioning to a man and trying to play male sports. They're not doing that. But for whatever reason, men are transitioning, and when they are women, now it's, I want to play in the women's league. And it's like, there's science behind this, and we just can't ignore science. It's like, you are a woman and we're going to respect your title, but you still have an unfair advantage. At the very most, it's like, make a league for transgendered athletes.
I see that comment all the time.
Them into a category where they're dominating because they just have a genetic, it's science, they have a genetic advantage. It's not fair. Even by that precedence, I can be 28 and go play in a damn high school league. I'm open ass. It's unfair. It's just a fact of genetically, my body is stronger than a 12-year-old. Ain't no 12-year-old outrunning me.
I don't know. I get where you're coming from. I don't know.
A little different now. Okay. No 8-year-old is outrunning me in a 400. I can say that pretty solid.
You can. A 400 is pretty steep. You know you grown.
I ran the 400
decades ago. Like, I get you
That's
though.
why I said 8. I'm like, okay, they barely not walk. Like, okay, cool. They only been walking for 7 years. Like, I think I can outrun an 8-year-old. It's just like it's not fair.
Just so you can outrun a 5
ass. I'll outrun a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
My grown ass had an unfair advantage. I can't comments in these posts they get so off topic. We'll respect your title. You are a woman, but genetically you have an unfair advantage against natural born women. So that's your stance. That is my stance.
And you're sticking beside it.
And I'm sticking beside it. So if y'all want to cancel me for that, I mean,
it's okay. I agree. I'm surprised this gets this much conversation.
It's like, why is it?
I don't really. So we're advocates for a sport. So like, it doesn't really matter. Everyone should play a sport. Congrats. Everybody should play a sport. I am not understanding how it's a deep conversation. Why previous men who've now transitioned to womanhood get to compete. I don't know why that's a thing. In fact, the UPenn swimmer Leah Thomas, who did she win NCAA?
She got first place.
Like I'm so disappointed in every single person
that was
and every single official and every single.
We have to remember that this is a new thing. This is very new. There are not rules.
I feel like it was
that excluded.
That's still
her.
I feel like it was a situation where like it was like, is she supposed to be here? I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. Who's over this? I don't want to be the person to say something.
Like, we don't have the NCAA president's number.
But I don't know.
We got to email him.
I'm just so surprised, but nonetheless, and to me, what makes it more surprising is I don't even know if they know when she transitioned. So it's like
I saw a report about that where they were like, we don't know when she officially transitioned. Which,
like, what if you did it last year?
You said what?
What if it was last?
Yeah, because it takes time. It takes time to transition,
get those things going.
Yeah, to get everything going. So if you were a man 2 weeks ago, you still got a lot of that in you.
But for the record, I definitely believe I am not God, and I believe everyone should do with their life how they should do with their life. We have free will. But would I want my daughter to be competing with someone who was previously a man unless she was in a co-ed situation?
Yeah.
No, I would not.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I would not.
Basic. What's the next topic?
Next topic. So I know. So dramatic. What do you think about the James dynasty? What do you think about Bronny James and him declaring for the NBA draft?
I haven't heard anything from Bronny playing basketball at USC since the he went into cardiac arrest. Glad he's doing better. I would not, if I was Bronny, I would not declare for the draft.
One second. For those who don't know, Bronny James is LeBron James' son. Who is a current freshman at University of Southern California.
Mm-hmm.
And Bronny James is not a starter. He averages some things, but nothing is in the double digits.
No. So
he has declared for the NBA draft, and he has also entered the transfer portal.
So it brings up the conversation of nepotism.
Yes.
I support it, but I will say I don't know how nepotism will play out in an athletic sense when it's like there is quite literally a line established for good and not good.
That doesn't matter though, because the performance of nepotism doesn't show in the academic sense. you're just in there to get it. You just got into the school through your mom or dad.
True.
We don't know what your grades. In fact, I'm pretty sure their grades. Who knows if their grades are good?
And I will say, if my parents were wealthy, and I had the opportunity to benefit off of nepotism,
why would you say no?
I'm not turning y'all down. No, it's not fair.
First off, people do nepotism all the time. Oh, my friend is the so-and-so. Oh, getting into the club. That's
not utilizing nepotism to get into the club is crazy.
Getting deals, getting a discount.
Yeah.
All of those things are forms of nepotism. Yeah, I approve this nepotism.
Support it, and I would never turn it down. It's like if I can average what Bronny is averaging and still go to the league, I would literally say, fuck y'all. Y'all's opinion does not matter, hence why I'm still declaring.
What's crazy is the only thing I'm worried about, and I'm over here saying I'm worried about it like I know these people, but I am worried about his mental health.
Well, college is fun. College was the time of my life.
Well, I'm worried about his mental health in the sense of
so up to LeBron James,
just the constant comparison. LeBron James is not just like, oh, my dad was good. Your dad is the best basketball player of all time, arguably.
And
your dad is an anomaly.
Yeah, living up to that, and it's like, then you have his name.
And then you have and your name is not David. You're like Bronny,
LeBron. They're like, there ain't too many people named LeBron. Like, maybe now, but so at the age.
That's the only thing I'm a little worried about. I think that Austin Rivers, who played for a couple of teams, I think that he got it, but it was a little different.
That's Doc Rivers' son?
That's Doc Rivers' son. But it was a little different because his dad was a coach, right? And I think that, Steph Curry, his dad was in the NBA, but Steph Curry was obviously better than his dad, right? There's a lot of players whose fathers were in the league, and they don't necessarily, they get compared to their dad, but they ended up surpassing their dad. In fact, I actually think that in the next couple of years, or maybe in a decade, the NBA will be not completely, but almost sealed in with nepotism.
First of all, the NBA is already filled with nepotism when you look at the damn front office. It's true. How many job interviews have you taken? Do you ever follow up with the job interviews you have in sports? I always follow up to see who, if I didn't get a job, I always follow up to see who got the job. I check on LinkedIn.
That's what I pay. That's why I pay for the LinkedIn thing. I don't want them to see.
It will show you. It's like, oh, I didn't get the job, but it's not because I didn't interview well. It's not because I wasn't qualified. It's like they hired their nephew.
Yeah.
Every front office is filled with familial connections. The best example is the damn Cowboys organization.
Yeah.
Every damn grandkid works. Everybody at the Cowboys got one last name.
Yeah.
Go on the website and check.
It's true. I'm for the nepotism. I do worry about his mental health, but at the same time, so long as it lasts, that's cool. Well, we will see. It's funny because I think that, they probably thought USC was the best situation. You're close to home. You're around all of our trainers, X, Y, or Z. Mm-hmm. But if he does not go to the league and just ends up transferring, I wouldn't be surprised if it was to like a smaller D1 school.
When you say smaller, like give an example, like Troy University or like University of Miami at Ohio, small? Or are you talking about like
Texas State? No, I'm talking about more so. I think one of LeBron's former teammates is a college coach at Duskinsky.
No. He just got hired.
He just got hired. So I think it would
Wednesday.
Yeah, I think it'll be something like that. It'll be more homegrown situation. I think let's not forget Bronny's 18, 19 years old, having a heart situation, and then coming back and still playing in the same year. That's a lot.
It's a lot, but
that's a lot.
Declaring for the draft within a year of going into cardiac arrest, which is one of the most serious heart issues that you can have, like cardiac arrest. A lot of people don't make it out of cardiac arrest.
Yeah,
that's how Michael Jackson died. Anyways,
was it because pills though? I don't know.
He was
doing too much.
He fell into cardiac arrest because
due to the
pills. But the NBA draft, when you go through that process, they do extensive research on your body.
Yeah,
that is why Isaiah Austin
couldn't play.
Baylor.
Yeah,
they found out he had a heart condition, and they said you can't enter the draft. You will not play for the NBA. We'll try to work out a coaching agreement to deal with you,
But you can't
that
get
heart
this.
condition is a liability for us. We cannot let you enter this league with that because you know, it's so
That's
severe.
a good point.
So I don't understand how we can't even entertain the thought of Bronny seriously entering the draft, because I'm not a medical expert, but I don't think he would be able to pass the medical portion of it when he has cardiac arrest in the last 12 months.
We will see. Any other points on what we've discussed?
No, I think that's pretty much everything. I mean, don't try to cancel us. I mean,
I'm never gonna be canceled, so I'm not cancelable. I think I'm not even worried about it.
I will say you can't cancel Black people because they're not serious enough. People are still listening to R. Kelly. I feel like you are one of those people.
What? What an accusation! No, I am not listening to R. Kelly. And the fact that I said that makes me even come off even more guilty. No. So I'm going to end it right there.
You don't stream R. Kelly?
I do not. And first off, the only song I had of R. Kelly before he went down was "I'm the mountain in the sky. I'm the
I can listen to that song.
I'm the world's greatest." That's it. That's the only song I really had.
Okay, so left.
You still watch the Huxtables, the Bill Cosby show?
No, I don't.
Yes,
I have.
Yes,
Never seen me watch Bill Cosby.
Get off me.
That show. Oh my gosh, you still listen to Justin Bieber?
What did he do wrong?
No, I'm asking. Do you still listen to Justin Bieber?
Still, I never did.
Okay. Do you listen to?
She's trying to give me.
You listen to Usher?
Do I listen to Usher?
Yeah.
Do we listen to Usher?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. A lot of his songs were written by R. Kelly, meaning R. Kelly still gets the stream.
And the only reason why I am okay with saying that I listen to Usher is because all of y'all listen to Usher at the Super Bowl. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks.
I'm Jordan.
And I'm Nicole.
And you have just listened to another episode of the Playbook Diaries. We'll see you guys next week.
Let's go.